We better just get started. I mean, I know it's a minute early, but faith is here, so we have to start. That's the rules. Oh, my goodness. Good evening, my friends. Hello, I hope you can hear me. We're still waiting for our screen to load on our backup device to make sure that sound and audio quality are up to snuff. So if you guys can hear me okay, let me know. Say hi. How are you? Oh, yeah, everything's working. Woohoo! That means we can make the biggest announcement in the world right after we talk about tea. We have to have tea. Oh, yeah. I have a cafe latte mug this evening, which does not have cafe latte in it. It has tea. Oh, I was told also not to sip into the microphone. In case you're listening, I just enjoyed my first sip of, I believe it's ginger lemon. And we found a local producer of honey that is processed, it says on the container, in a not state inspected facility. And I just thought that was amazing. Hello, Chris, Mio. Hello, Karen. I'm glad you're here. She says, I can't stay long. Well, we'll get right into it. Faith K, Bill, Melissa, Chris and Clarissa, Monkey Food Garden. Bobert was here. He made a bunch of guesses, and then I think he bailed on us. Bill says, his tea's not ready. Old Bear said his notification worked. Woohoo! And the Fireside Farms. This is for you, my friend. Look at that, Fireside. How did you know? Flippin' genius. I love it. I'm glad the notifications work. Sean, woo! Sean says, howdy. Hello, hello, hello. I am very excited you guys decided to spend a few minutes with us this evening. We have a whole bunch to cover, and I hope I can cram it all in the 3.5 minutes that I have. That's a little bit of a joke. If you are one of our new subscribers, welcome very much. Carolyn, hello. Hello, Rosa. Hello, Mio. If you're one of our new subscribers, welcome. In the past 48 days or something, we've added like 2,000 subscribers. So thank you very much for joining us. If you are one of our new subscribers, you are greatly appreciated. Welcome to our Flannel Family Forum fireside chat. This is the first time. Thorn Creek, hello. Hello, Mary. So glad you're here. This is the first time in almost a month that I've had just you guys all to myself. If you'll remember, 4 live streams ago, we were in Fort Lauderdale. 3 live streams ago, we were in Tennessee. 2 live streams ago, I talked to Ben Holler. And last live stream, I talked to the Healing Homestead. And I enjoyed immensely all of those live streams. But I think we have a special connection, you and me, when it's just us. And I don't have people all in the screen and a bunch of questions going for them. I enjoy them. I very much enjoy the interviews that I get to do with people, but I enjoy our time together, just us. So we're going to enjoy that this evening. At some point, the Kramer Life has agreed to do a live stream. I'm just waiting on them to get back with us with their schedule. So for those of you that didn't get to see the Healing Homestead, I do have a health update, but that's not the big update. And then I'm going to launch into the big update. So the health update, for those of you that didn't know, is last September. Approximately 4 or 5 months ago, I had heart surgery. They didn't have to do open heart. They were able to go in arthroscopically, and they repaired a mitral valve prolapse. The repair has not gone well. There's a leak in it, and the leak is of a certain size that it is shredding my hemoglobin as it goes through. So I've been anemic. But the good news is I had some blood work done, and with a bit of a change in my diet and an iron supplement, my hemoglobin has gone up. I am on a beta blocker, which I hate, but that's for a 3-month period. And then they are going to do another echocardiogram and reevaluate and see that if the beta blocker can bring my heart rate down and the iron can bring my hemoglobin up, then potentially it has the possibility that the hole or the leak or whatever will repair itself. So that's what we're praying for. We have asked our good Father in heaven to allow that to happen so that we don't have to go through another heart surgery. But that might be on the docket here before too much longer. So if I look a little tired, besides the fact that I got off this morning from a 72-hour shift at work, I am a firefighter paramedic by day, homesteading extraordinaire by night. That's why the beta blocker kind of wipes me out. But we'll talk about gardens. We're going to talk about land clearing and some other things. But we have some very exciting news. It's not that the channel was YouTube channel of the week and or any of those funny guesses that Mr. Bobert had. I have been in touch via my brother with Doug and Stacy from Doug and Stacy Off Grid. And as many of you guys know, there is this little homesteading conference thing they do. Maybe you've heard of it over in Hannibal, Missouri. And I have been invited to be a speaker there coming up in August. I believe it's already sold out, but I am to send a headshot and a bio over to Doug and kind of some of the topics I'm going to talk about. And from what I understand, they are giving me a slot. Obviously, a lot can happen between now and then. So Faith asked, can I write your bio? Faith, if you want to send me a bio, I'm not opposed. I'm going to do my best. Oh, no, stop. Shh, noise. I'm sorry. I did not turn off those notifications. I'm going to write one this coming, this weekend. Basically, I'm going to try and put my bio together. I need a haircut. Not this part, obviously. That's my, thank you, Karen. It's very exciting. Not this part, obviously. This is what the people are going to pay to see, is this part. It's I got to get the sides trimmed up before I send him a headshot. I look a little homeless. I can't have that. Have to be all. For those of you that are just listening, I'm making different poses for my face. Yeah. I'm really excited. It feels kind of overwhelming. Sean asked if we are finally torching the company of supplies that cannot be noted. Yeah, Sean says cut everything but the bangs. Yeah, Monkey says I should send a headshot of my Lego Farms logo. That's a pretty good one. I might do that. That's a really cool. I love that little schmirky fella. For those of you that can't see, I'm making the schmirky face. Schmirky face. So yeah, and I was thinking of topics, and this is kind of also what I wanted to talk to you guys about, because it is somewhat premature. Like, I don't have a day and a time yet, but as far as I know, this is going to work out. I wanted to discuss my topic with you, if you'll indulge me. I haven't written it yet, but I have an idea. Karen says, when I put my bangs down, I look like her 17-year-old son. Well, he must be incredibly handsome and very wise. What I want to cover with them, and if you don't hit the thumbs up button, that'll make me very sad. And there's 40 of you here, and there's only 20 thumbs up buttons. And I thought we had an understanding. I thought we were friends. I want to talk about homesteading and hope. If you guys have been watching for any amount of time, especially on the live streams, it's where we get a little philosophical. And we kind of dive into some of the reasons behind stuff. We're still absurd, obviously, but you know, I am a Christian man, for those of you that don't know, and I was convicted this past year of homesteading in fear instead of homesteading in hope. And if you're not a Christian, this still applies to you. I would highly advise that you become a Christian and that you have eternal hope and eternal life. But that's your choice if you want to ignore God. But the principles that I'm going to tell you are going to work either way. Okay, so bear with me, and we'll go from there. The Bible says, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything prayer and supplication." And holy cow, Sean, you're sending me a paragraph, and I was just about to launch into a really beautiful monologue. Okay, and if you weren't so daggum funny. He said, Doug and Stacy were our Hebrew roots or something similar, if memory serves. Do you think that he'd take issue with including a gospel message in your topic? I don't know, but I'm going to. I don't think so. Oh, excuse me. Because I'm going to preface it the same way I just did with this one. Okay, so the principles still apply. It is. When I moved out here, I was trying to, take care of my family, obviously, and feed them better food, change our entire way of life. And in part, I was kind of expecting a bit of an apocalypse. And I still sort of am. I'm an optimistic catastrophist, is the title I like to use. And, I realized after not too long of being out here that trying to create all of your own food is incredibly difficult, very, very time consuming. And it's a hard thing to do. And if the apocalypse happened, I mean, we wouldn't starve to death immediately, but sooner or later we probably would. And that's when the focus of the channel in part shifted from us trying to do it to more of the community mindset. We talk a lot about building community. And, one twig is easily broken, but three bound together are not so much. And so we have to learn how to build these communities. And a lot of these communities were ingrained in church, right? You would go to church and that was where your community was. They were local. We were actually going to church instead of having live stream meetings where we sat in pajamas on our couches and we didn't build relationships with people. And when the church is operating correctly, then we have people that look out for each other and take care of each other. It's the way it should be. This is the optimal. I know it doesn't always work that way. And we've lost a lot of that in our culture. And so I was convicted of homesteading out of fear and trying to clutch onto the things of this world. Now, it is a good thing to take care of your family. It is a good thing to provide them with good food. It is a good thing to store up food and to have an abundance. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with those things. But they're not going to save you, right? The Lord knows the number of days that we have. He knows the hairs on our head. And when it's time for us to be done here, we're done here. There's nothing you can do about it. And all of the, off-grid living prep work stuff is not necessarily going to add a day to your life. But what we might be doing is preserving culture if everything actually does collapse. And so my whole kind of mindset has shifted from homesteading to make sure I don't starve to death to it's a better way of life and the food that I produce is better for me and my family, to how do I become a resource for my friends, family, church, and even my friends on YouTube? How do I, instead of, so there's a parable in the Bible about a rich man who has a really good harvest. And when they tell him what the harvest has, he already has barns that are full, basically. And he says, oh, cool, I'm going to tear down my barns and I'm going to build bigger ones. And God basically says, you fool, your life is required of you. And so he did not get, and he was going to eat, drink, and be merry, right? It wasn't that he was storing up stuff. It's that he was going to eat, drink, and be merry. It was going to all be selfish. And he was going to spend it on his own wiles, if you will. And I realized that I wasn't necessarily trying to, get rich or, knock down my barns and build bigger ones, but I was, stuffing food in the freezer just in case. And those kind of things. And again, the Bible also says that look at the worm, or not the worm. I hate a worm. So that's on my head. Ah, the worm was so gross. Oh, it was so bad. The ant, the ant doesn't have a boss. It doesn't have anything else, but they toil away all during the warm months so that when hard times come, they have food. So I went from, my mindset has kind of, has shifted. Yeah, Sean says, my lofty goal is to get to a point where I can help feed a lot of starving people when the next depression hits. Imagine the gospel opportunities. Hi, Michael. He says, sup, new friend, preach. Exactly. Yeah, Faith K says, I think that's a lovely topic, Brian, especially at that particular function. I find their audience to be a bit worked up. I'd say paranoid, but it's not that they're totally wrong, just more negative. Yeah, so that's kind of the thing, right? And once my mindset kind of shifted from holy cow, this is scary. I don't know where wheat's going to come from next week. What if they shut down another pipeline and all that stuff? I think more so that we look at being a resource. And do you know, the apocalypse? Well, let's talk about the apocalypse. Hold on, I have to cover the microphone because I can't sip my tea anymore because somebody got mad. I'm just kidding. They weren't mad. They were probably right. Let's talk apocalypse, shall we? The apocalypse doesn't have to be the end of the collective world or the collective society or even a collapse of our economic status. I got a piece of hay in my shirt. There we go. I had heart surgery last year, and it's quite possible. I mean, it didn't go as well as we thought, right? This is kind of the reason that, see, this is called a tie back. See, I've learned these things as doing this. We started off with the heart surgery. Now we're tying back to the heart surgery. So now there's all these points involved. Woo! Watch out, Tony, whatever that speaker is. I'm coming for you. If that heart surgery had gone worse, or let's say I never woke up, that would have been absolutely apocalyptic to my family, right? Their entire lives would have changed just like that, overnight, right? So it doesn't have to be a big apocalypse that we prepare for. We can be anti-fragile in small stages, building up to things. But, in some ways, the desire or effort to try and be self-sufficient, right? The two S's, not the Nazi ones, the good ones, the self-sufficient, the SS, is like looking at the end of a marathon when you've never run. The thought of trying to go 26 miles, right off the bat, that's insane. That's insane. What do you start doing? Well, I mean, at first you get some running shoes, and then you start small and you work your way up. And at any point, if you have to outrun a bear, it's better that you started somewhere. You don't have to be able to run a marathon, right? You just have to start. And so I think the focus of my mission there and here is going to be, focusing now on potentially getting out of debt, and then storing up maybe 3 months worth of food, and then at some point, getting land debt free, and at some point being able to raise animals, and at some point being useful to your community, and at some point, right, we build these things. And if at any point something catastrophic happens on a personal scale, you lose a primary breadwinner, a child gets sick, whatever. I mean, we could pick horrible things, but I don't want to try and pick horrible things. But we'll just use my my heart surgery. Let's take that one. If I'd have been, let's say I recovered but not enough and couldn't do any of this anymore. Well, I have, life insurance for the family that we've worked to set aside. There's health insurance involved. I had 3 to 6 months worth of food saved up. So there are things that would have sustained my family until we found a different career, or we had a little savings. There's those kinds of things. And these are the types of things that I think we should be striving for, as opposed to, how many filtered straws do you have to suck the juice out of streams? It's quite possible that everything falls apart and we get into nuclear war with Russia. Great, that's fine. But if all that happens, none of us are really that prepared. And it would be that would literally be fighting for your life to survive. And that would be a whole different thing. And even trying to prepare for that is extremely difficult. And with a family, it's almost impossible. Because even 200 or 300 years ago, people lived in villages, and they lived in communal areas, and they all were striving to get food together and they were taking care of each other, and there was more than one person. You had people that could stand watch. I mean, even if I could produce enough food for myself and my family, there's no way that I can guard it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there is so many things that, I see people saying sorry in the chat. What did I miss? Let me scroll back. Surf sufficiency. I like that. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I saw that, Tim. Tim Beverly lost their 11-year-old family dog this week. So we're sorry to hear that, Tim. It's so hard when we lose something like that has been, part of your family for that long. Yeah, Faith K says it's also coming from an abundance mindset rather than a poverty mindset. I have and increased skills and goods to share rather than needing things to hoard. Absolutely. Julia said, very cool thumbnail. Thanks. My brother found that for me, so I dig it. I'm trying to make it the long one so I can put it up for the background because I really thought it was pretty neat. Bobert says nuclear war with Russia. That's great. Fine, Brian. Yeah, I don't think we're going to go to nuclear war, but at any point, you can have that catastrophic thing happen on a personal level. Glenn says, I really want to join with you guys, but I'm sitting in a coffee bar in Melbourne, Australia with 1 bar of signal, wishing you all a wonderful night or day wherever you are. Well, cheers, Glenn. I hope you're okay in Australia. So that, I think, is generally speaking going to be the focus of my topic. Is your apocalypse can be small but still change your life. As most of you guys know, my dad passed away in a single vehicle accident coming up on 6 years ago this summer. It's hard to believe it's been 6 years. But he was 64 years old. He was very healthy, and he was driving home, and the car hydroplaned, and he hit a tree. And about a week later, through various interventions and things and efforts, he went home to be with the Lord. And that's just, that altered my family's life forever. And we all ended up gathering in the small town he was traveling. So he wasn't even, like, we weren't near family. We weren't near resources. And, we all jumped in cars and ended up driving to a hotel near the hospital. And then, when he got moved to hospice for the last few days, and we had to spend, thousands of dollars on hotel rooms and food. I mean, we had kids with, my siblings had infants. So we were buying pack and plays, from Walmart and just setting them up. And, it cost us a lot of money, and people rallied around us, and were able to, they financially supported us, and they took care of us. But my brother and I, and actually one other family member, were in a, pretty okay position. We had a savings account, and so we were able to buy the things immediately, because while we didn't have food necessarily stored up, and we didn't have land, and we weren't prepped for the end of the world, we did have a savings account in case something went wrong and we needed to spend the money. And the money was spent, and it was returned to us by a bunch of very generous, faithful people. But those are the kind of things we need to be, prepared for. So that is kind of the gist of what we're going to do. Old Bear, I'm so sorry. Said my niece was diagnosed with brain cancer at age 4, and the community has really come together for her. So yeah, but that's the kind of thing, right? When we're planning for the apocalypse, and when we're planning for the end of the world and solar panels and all that stuff, it's it could be crazy. So somebody said, oh, hi, Tanya. Tanya said, I just got here. Sorry for being late. Big Set Apart says, appreciate the work. Thank you, Big Set Apart. I appreciate that. Yeah. Bill Elrod says, Danny Deep South is always talking about life events and how they change things, and we're one story away from a collective life event. Mary said, now you made me cry, so sorry for your loss. Don't be sad. Don't be sad, Mary. It was a very difficult time, but it was also a strangely wonderful time. we knew pretty much from the first day that his injuries were not sustainable with life. So it gave us a week together as a family that I'll never forget. We bonded together, and we had the opportunity to say goodbye. And he also did not have a very prolonged illness or anything else. And again, I am a Christian man. My father was a Christian man. So I have the hope of the resurrection and eternal life. So it's taken, time, but it's okay. He raised me to do what I'm doing, not farming necessarily, but he raised me to raise my family. And so that's what we're doing. But that's sort of the talk that we're going to I have to flush it out. But if you guys are okay with it, and you guys are a very critical audience, you're always, making fun of me and telling me how terrible I am. So if you guys appreciate, that's a joke, relax. If you think that's a good topic, I think that's the one I'm going to flesh out. I have time to do it. So I think we're going to go down that route. Tanya, the big announcement, for those of you that are tuning in late, the big announcement is that I have been invited to submit a headshot and a bio to Doug and Stacy, with the understanding that they are going to make a slot for me to speak at the Homesteaders Conference of America in Hannibal, Missouri this year. So that is really, really cool. I am looking forward to that very much. Yeah. Chris Stubb says 2019, 2020 toilet paper. Now apply that to meats and other goods that are needed. What happens if something happens and there's nothing but Kraft mac and cheese left, or gasoline gets short? Can't work. Yeah, exactly. Old Bear says that his niece that was diagnosed at 4 years old, they gave her a few months to live, and she's currently 6 more years and 10 years old now. So she is still living, and that is amazing. The Log Cabin artist says, you never know. Hurricane Ian in Florida changed so many lives. We thank the Lord we were prepared and able to help neighbors as well. Building community is so very important, and it is the gospel. Amen. Sean says, when is the event? It's August 4th and 5th, or 5th and 6th. So yeah, that's the huge announcement. That's kind of why I said it was going to be, life-changing, homestead-changing potentially. That's a big event. It's a very big event. And Doug and Stacy are a big force in homesteading. So it's, I think it's going to, well, I don't know that it's going to make a difference on our channel. Let me put it that way. And it's, yeah, I'm just really excited. I can't wait. And it's going to not only make a difference to the channel, but it's going to make a difference on the homestead as well. Because as most of you guys know, one of the things I want to do is start teaching classes here, not necessarily like a homesteading conference, more like workshops, butchering workshops, chicken workshops, potentially seed starting workshops, preserving workshops, all those kind of things. And I think our first one actually is going to be in this May. I had somebody ask me about processing some chickens and if they could come learn from me. And I said, well, why don't I put on a conference, or not a conference, a workshop? And they said they agreed to that. So they're going to bring some chickens, and we're going to open it up to, I don't know, 10, 15 people, and, have the first ever Flannel Farms function. But being able to say that I spoke at the, Homesteaders Conference of America is going to add some, I don't know if legitimacy is the right word, maybe some gravitas to what we're putting out there. So it's going to change a lot of, and actually what it's going to do is things that we were trying to do before that we had hoped to do, we're going to be able to skip a lot of the ground building, stage, because we'll have that legitimacy, if you will, from coming from that conference. So yes, for those of you that missed it in the chat, also Faith K, they lost their 17-year-old son last year. We have talked back and forth via email about loss, and I think on Facebook as well. It's hard, and it is, it is part of life, but it's really hard when we lose children. You know, that's just out of the order of things. But, my friends, we have discussed enough sad things. So let's move on to happy things, the large things. I do have also an absolutely horrible recipe tonight, because we have been remiss in our housekeeping and Old Virginia reading. So we have one of those coming up for you near the end of the show. Couple things I'd like to discuss. One is we have the possibility, y'all know my neighbor Buck. He is been very he's part of the community that we have discovered here. We didn't build that one. They're a good Christian family. He is going to come clear my land, an acre basically at a time, for a incredibly reasonable price. So I'm hoping in the next month or so, we're going to have filmage of we're going to clear an acre at first. And for those of you that have been to our property, and for those of you that have watched on the channel, you know, the cows are all the way up in the front, and they're in the front field. And I have like an L shape of cleared land. And, excuse me, what we're going to do is we have the front pasture. It's about 2 acres that has T-posts and hot wire. And then we have woods over here, and then we have a section that's cleared. And we're going to take an acre back this way and then expand the entire pasture to be 4 acres. And then we're going to, because you've seen, if you've watched the channel, how we've hot wired through the woods. Well, most of those woods are going to come down, and then we're going to actually be able to build paddocks like I've wanted to since we got here, and do the rotational grazing, and be able to move the chickens and the cows and the pigs all around behind each other and do very brief periods of very intense grazing. And that's going to allow us to reduce our feed bill. I was talking to, as you guys know, Ben Holler last week, and he read that book. I forget what it's called. I'm sorry if you watch the live stream with Ben Holler. It's in there. I think I put a link in the description. But anyways, if somebody remembers, please feel free to put it in the chat. But the book basically said that if you don't have a regenerative agriculture musical chairs, woo! If you don't have enough feed on your land, then you don't have you have too many animals, is what it boils down to. So, yeah, Cowboy 8 panel is that's my hair fan. She's the hair fan. You have too many animals on your land. You need to be able to feed your animals from your land. And so that's something we're really stretching toward this year, is to be able to do that through various means. There are some older growth methods. We got into hay and grasses and stuff mostly because we had big equipment that we could harvest it with pretty quick and store it up. Way back when, they used to move them around, or they would do like tree hay is what they used to call it. And they would harvest that for their animals. So we have a bunch of different ideas of things we're going to try to do. So we're going to try this year to start preparing that so that we can feed everything properly from our own animals. And if we can successfully do that and figure that out, we're going to obviously share that with everybody here. Other people have done it. It's not like it's, you know, there's nothing new under the sun, but we do our best. The log cabin artist says, I'm a female full-time artist. Our handles are sometimes cryptic. That's a really cool handle though. And I think it's really cool that you get to make a living doing that full-time. So let's scroll through the chat a little bit, and then we'll get back onto a topic. Evelyn says, amen. I will watch and pray first live with you. Met you with Ben and Meg. God bless you. Southeast Michigan. Thank you, Evelyn. I'm so glad you're here. Douglas said, late to the party. Did I hear you were leaning into the channel with a prepping mentality? No, I sort of started, we started homesteading almost out of fear, and I got convicted of that. So, I want to provide my family with good food. That is much more the focus of what I'm trying to do now, as opposed to cling to the things of this life, if you will. I think having, 6 months to a year's worth of bills in the bank account is a good idea. And I think having 6 months to a year's worth of food in your house is a good idea. I think having 6 months to a year's worth of fuel for your generator or your propane or whatever you got is a good idea. I think those things are good ideas. And I think you can do those and prepare for the short-term type emergency, as opposed to, preparing for, stones and sticks in the next stone age and all that kind of thing. I think it's much more feasible to prepare that way than it is to try and do the whole entire off-grid lifestyle. More power to the people that can do it. But yeah, if I didn't have gasoline or propane or something, it wouldn't be long before I was having to figure out a new way of life. I also have a full-time job and a stump grinding business and a YouTube channel. And none of the things I do on the channel, I are only for the sake of the channel. There's always a reason. There's something I'm doing, right? So I don't know how to say, like, I don't necessarily just make up content. This is actually my life and what we're doing. I do endeavor to make it funny and brief, because I think that's better for me, because that's the way I am. I'm a bit ridiculous, and I like to figure things out and have a good time. And but no, I'm not, I'm not passing myself off, I guess, as something. I know there's a lot of channels out there that talk like they're off grid, or they talk like they do all this stuff. And it's almost like, the Bear Grylls Survivor Man kind of thing, where, if the camera pointed the other way, you'd see the hotel in the background. I don't have any of that. I don't do funny camera angles to try and hide things or make things look like more. This is just what we're doing and what we're trying to be. PL Kitty said, I was just gifted 2 new chickens this week. Thanks to your world's cheapest coop, I was able to build an isolation coop for the newbies that cost me no dollars and no cents. Woohoo! It worked. All right. Bill Elrod asked, when are we putting some taters in the ground? Well, the dandelions aren't up enough yet, but they are all sprouted in my pantry, in my lada. I love that term, lada. So they're in there. And so that's what we're waiting on. A few more dandelions. We just today got the rest of the compost and dirt spread around in our garden beds. The fences are built. The rabbits are out. The gates are built. I probably should film some of that, but I haven't found a way to make it funny yet. So it's on hold. I have a couple ideas for some videos coming up, but I actually have nothing in the, I don't know, in the hopper, as it were. Faith says, I feel with these opportunities like God is leading you to increase positivity and peace and increasing his flock, like he's called you to do for a long time. Old Bear, I'm sorry, I do forget. Miss Old, you need to change your handle. Old Mama Bear, that's what you should. I don't know. I am sorry. I will do my best. Sean says, brother from another church has agreed to teach me under his wing, teach me how to be a general contractor, paying me $150 a day to learn, and helping me set up an S Corp and go solo. That's awesome, Sean. That is the way to do it, my friend. Woohoo! That is very cool. Tanya says, I have land about the size of a shoebox, but I've managed to fit a hoop coop in my garage, put a greenhouse, a dog kennel, a garden spot, a yard dog, and I'm not sure the exact size. That is amazing. Good job. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Thank you, Mio. The book is The Independent Farmstead: Growing Soil Biodiversity and Nutrient-Dense Food with Grass-Fed and Intensive Pasture Management by Beth Dougherty, which I'm friends with her now on Facebook. Miss Old Bear says, good way to be, Brian. Sadly, there are a lot of fakes on YouTube. Yeah. So I'm just trying to, Tanya says, between you and David, I learn a lot and laugh even more. Thank you both so much. You're welcome. It's fun. It's fun. I think we have finally found, I hate to say our shtick, but I do say ridiculous things quite often. And while I'm not a homesteading expert by any stretch of the imagination, I've only been doing this for like 18 months now. I am 40 years old and have learned a thing or two about life, and we're fairly clever around here at figuring out ways to do things that are just a little bit different and hopefully cheaper. We've had to do everything on the cheap. I'm in a public sector job. It doesn't make a boatload of money. So we are doing our best to find ways to provide food to people and help them make food for less money. That's why we're going to start teaching butchering classes and stuff like that, so we can enable people to get good food for their families for less money. So we're not getting poisoned by, you know, big food and all that nonsense. Holy cow. I mean, we could do a channel all about that. But again, that gets into scary things, right? And so I don't want to be I don't want to be a fearmonger. Although it certainly sells. You can get a lot by freaking people out. It's just not in my wheelhouse. I like to encourage people to do things that they might not have tried elsewise. And Karen says, I have to log off. Have a good night, everyone. Bye, Karen. Thanks for being here. Michael says, I met Michael Hill today. He came out to the property with Jeremy V, who is currently not watching because he's mad at me. He hurt his back when I bullied him into doing something. And Michael lives not too far from us and has invited us to a jambalaya thing. So we are probably going to do that here at the end of, or I guess the middle of the month. And that's going to be fun. But again, expanding the community, a little far away to be neighbors down the street, but within striking distance, as it were. So I'm excited about that. It's always cool. We've already actually been texting back and forth. I've smothered him with questions because he knows about PCs. And that's another thing that I have to tell you guys about. I forgot about that too, man. There's so many things. So I think I told most of you that my eldest flannel child wrote that music for the intro. And in the worm video, when I lay there dead in the field, that is the full song that I had her play. Actually, Bill, I don't think Michael's terribly far from you, so that might be a connection you want to make. My eldest wrote that song for me. I took her a song that I thought was good for a bumper, but was copyrighted, and she listened to it for a few minutes, and 20 minutes later, she banged one out. And she is into making soundtrack type music. And I mean, she can make feelings in her music. You can get the idea of what is conveyed by what she's able to play. And it's really, really good. And I almost played a song for you tonight. I was going to take the mic inside with the camera and just put it next to, because it's all in her keyboard. We've moved a few to the computer. But we have the laptops that we have are like bare minimum processing power. So it's enough for me to edit my videos, but it takes a bit for a lot of the, it takes a while for it to render and those kind of things. And we tried to move some of her songs over into the computer, and the GHZ whatever processing is just not enough to handle all of her layers. So we're going to order a much better computer with higher processing power so that we can move her songs off. And hopefully in the next few months, she's going to launch her own channel. And the channel is just going to be her music. There might be some talking about her. She might give a bio on the song, but she's writing whole movements that she wants to share. And when you put it on YouTube, that essentially acts as publishing. So we're going to, I'm trying to feature more of her songs in our videos, but the problem is, like I said, the computing power isn't enough to be able to pull it out of the keyboard, because it's the stuff she's writing is 16 layers deep in some cases. And she's what's known as polyphonic as opposed to monophonic. And apparently the vast majority of people who write music hear things in a monophonic way, and you hear one thing, you know, at a time, and you kind of build the whole thing. She hears the whole song in her head and then creates it. So she knows like what she's doing and where she's headed with it. Hey, Rodney, how are you, my friend? Glad you're here. So it's, yeah, I can't handle all these layers. It's not going to, we need the better computer to get here so that we can actually process it. Because right now I think we're processing it in something like 16-bit as opposed to the 64 to 128 that we should have, I guess, for music. So yeah, we're gonna launch her channel here shortly, hopefully. And obviously your support would be appreciated, but I know that we're a homesteady type whatever channel, and it's not necessarily, you know, in the wheelhouse. But the beautiful thing about music is it's music, and you know, if people like it, they will listen to it over and over again. Betty says, late to the fireside. Did I miss it? Hey, good evening, ProCut. Hello, Wendy. All right, so for those of you that just joined us and missed our big announcement, we'll tell it one more time. I have been invited to speak at the Hannibal, Missouri Homesteading Conference of America by Doug and Stacy. There's still the possibility, of course, that, you know, between now and August, something happens where I'm unable to make it. But I am sending him either a headshot or the Lego guy and a bio and my topic here in the next few days. So, hey, Bobette, so glad you're here. So that is what the big announcement was. In August, I will be over at the Homesteading Conference of America speaking there. And if you want to know what I'm going to speak about, you can listen earlier to this very broadcast. And you will get an idea. I didn't really flesh it out all the way. I just kind of gave a bit of a thing. So I am not in Missouri. I am in coastal Virginia, for those of you. Again, welcome to our channel. It is sold out. I'm sorry. I don't even know how much tickets are. So I wish I knew. I wasn't even planning on going, to be honest, because it was sold out. And it's like a 15-hour drive for me. And then my brother talked to them. My brother, for those of you that don't know, is David the Good, who is a fairly well-known gardener, I guess. You know, some people have heard of him, whatever. And he spoke there last year. And so as far as we know, we will be out there speaking this year. And I'm very excited. It's going to change a lot of things for us. I'm really hoping in many ways. I mean, it's going to grow the channel. That's going to happen. But I think we've figured out where we're going and what we're doing. And I think the channel is going to grow on its own. But I think it's really going to help a lot with the butchering classes and things that I want to do here on the property, and the teaching that I want to actually do, and the hands-on stuff that I would like to help people learn. So yeah, ProCut said David the Good. He's okay. LOL. David the Good is also a really good author. He is. He's written a lot of stuff. Steven says, hey, it's my B-Day weekend, and I made it to alive. 40 years. Hey, we're the same age, Steven. Welcome. Fate says, I like Brian and David because they're big old nerds. I'm not that big. I've eaten right and lost the weight. Steven has been rolling through like everything we've made in the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 months, and he leaves a comment on everything, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, the hair. I am a hair nerd. Should we do should we read the recipe like this? Does this look NPR enough for you guys to read the recipe? I don't know if I can see it this way because I have lost half my vision. You all want to read her? Shall we read a recipe? I have to get my NPR voice ready. For those of you that don't know, we like to do voices here as well. And one of our voices is NPR. We're going to talk about Seuss cheese. Lay the meat in cold water as cut from the hog. Let it stand 3 or 4 days, shifting the water each day. Scrape it and let it stand a day or two longer, changing the water often. And if it should turn warm, pour a little salt in the water. The oftener it is scraped, the whiter will be the souse. Boil in plenty of water to cover it, replenishing when needed. When tender enough, put it in milk-warm water, and when cold, in salt water. Boil the head until the bones will almost fall out. Clean 1 dozen or more ears and boil also. While hot, chop very fine and season with salt and pepper. Put in a mold or a bowl with a weight on top. The feet may be soused whole or cut up with the head and ears, but it is not so nice. Clean them by dipping them in boiling water and scraping. Do not hold them to the fire to singe off the hair. 1 head and 1 dozen ears will make a good-sized cheese. The stuff folks used to eat. They were a hearty bunch. They were a hearty bunch. Holy cow. Steven says, you're welcome. I've watched more of you than your bro. Woo, I'm winning. Jeremy Fee says, I'm driving right now, but I got word someone was trash talking me, so I decided to listen in. Nobody trash talked you. All I said was I bullied you into hurting your back. That's all I said. Yeah, it's so gross. Green County Agro, woo! They said, just got done expanding our duck yard to 2,000 square feet. I need a break. Woohoo! Welcome. Yeah, oftener. That was a word, Miss Old Bear. Oftener. The flannel emo. It's the new 90s cliche. Yeah. Oh, Faith says, my grandmother adored head cheese. I used to leave the room when she pulled it out to eat. Blah. Old Bear, this was pre-depression food, actually. This was published in 1870-something. So I think that's just when people were hungry and ate whatever they could get their hands on because they were hungry. AWEV, you came back. Says, how to eat anything. Yeah. Woo. Bill says, I'm good. I'll just eat kale. That's just as bad. Tanya said, then place the bones in the oven 200 degrees until they're completely dry. Put it in a food processor or use a mallet and make your own bone meal. There you go. And Denise says, Louisiana still eats hog's head cheese. Yeah. 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 I don't know. So having now, Rodney says head hog cheese is wonderful. It might be. It might be, Rodney. So here's my my problem. I don't know if mentally I could get around it. So when I ate that worm in the What Is Aldi Doing video, it did not taste gross. I know that might sound weird, but I mean, I was fully committed that I was going to chew this thing up and eat it. And I thought, you know, really all I did was film my own reaction. Now, when I laid down and died, that was obviously a bit exaggerated. The gagging, though, was not. It was it was bad. Are you still there? Did I lose you? I think our Wi-Fi just died for some reason. If you can see me, send a message. No, it's not your internet. It's me. I think it was me. Okay. I think we're back. I think we saved it. Whew. I had to shut off the Wi-Fi real quick. I don't know what happened, but we're back. So if you got the rotating screen of death, just be patient. It will be back, although we lost like 15 of you. That's okay. Yeah, it was me. Yeah, Mrs. Flannel maybe shut it down inside. Babette says, I really like head cheese. It's definitely better than worm. Cool. All right. We are back. Everyone is safe. Yes, thank you. Thanks for waiting. So I good. Good, good, good. Yeah, I said I was gagging on a worm. No longer allowed. Maybe that was it. I said worms, and the powers that be shut me down. No more. It wasn't the flavor. I mean, it was almost flavorless when I popped it in, and I did not eat it with dirt. I rinsed it off in a little mug, and I was totally like committed, man. I was going to do this bit, and I got about 4 bites in, and I kid you not, my throat like slammed shut. There was no getting around it. It was over. Like, and I tried. I kept chewing, and I mean, it was instant gag. And I'm afraid with head cheese sauce, that would be the same type of thing. That it would be just, I could not, you know, in my head, I know it's okay. And you know, knowing that it's food and that people have eaten it and all that, yeah, I just couldn't do it. Jeremy says maybe I should not trash my Wi-Fi gear sponsors. I didn't, although I did call Netgear a spy device, didn't I? Yeah, that was fun. The company actually wasn't mad at me, believe it or not. The company said that, hey, Michelle, how are you? The company actually said they found it funny. Go figure. I thought it was funny. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it. That's part of the thing now. Everything has to be funny. If it's not funny, we're not doing it. Oh, my goodness. I have an idea for my next video. You don't have to raise chickens in an ICU. And that's an intensive chicken unit. I think that's going to be part of our shtick next time. But yeah, I'm afraid with the head Seuss that's what would happen is my throat just wouldn't allow it. Yes, Sean asked if that's why he was tolerated, because he brings the chortles. I do. Yeah. Yeah, the company said that they found it funny. It was very interesting take, and did I want to do a laser level next? And I said, thank you. No, I don't need a laser level. I'm good. I can't see how that would fit in the channel. So we'll announce the winner. I think Wednesday we're going to pick a winner. Wednesday, and then probably Thursday we'll try and get that out, the winner out. Let them know who's notified. So if you have not seen the Need a Spy Device, try this. There is a way you can win that and the hat that we wore. So yeah, I'm also working on getting some merchandise up and running properly. We tried it about a year ago. I think it was a bit premature. I didn't like the company. So I'm going to try and work with Aardvark that my brother works with. And see if we can't do something a little better, get some shirts out there. I got a bunch of ideas for shirts. So yeah, Wendy says level your garden beds. So that's about it, you guys. Big announcement. I'm going to be, as far as we know, speaking at the Homesteading Conference of America in Hannibal. And we are going to be clearing massive amounts of land. And my daughter is starting a channel here shortly. So lots of good things happening around here. I appreciate you guys who have been here for a very long time and supporting us, knowing that we were eventually going to continue to grow as we grow. And for those of you that just joined us, whether you're from, Ben Holler or, the Modern Yeoman, or, from Nate and Katie, gosh, Scott Head had some people come over, my brother's channel. I really appreciate that you are here and that you spend some time with us. It means a great deal to us. The growth in the past month or two has been very encouraging. And so it's good to know that we're doing something that has a positive impact on people. This isn't, you guys mean a lot to us. So every new subscriber means a lot to us. We respond to every comment. Oh, I do have to tell you guys, and I was going to put this in a post later, that I'm going to start taking a Sabbath day from my cell phone. I have gotten very, very hooked on talking to you guys via the comments and the chats, and I very much enjoy our time doing that. But I think on Sundays, it's either going to be Sundays or Mondays, depending on my work schedule. I'm going to take a Sabbath from my cellular telephone, my smart device. We're just going to put it up and lock it up, and I'm going to enjoy the Lord's Day. And so if you don't get a comment reply from me in the first, 5 minutes like I normally do, That's why, is because I'm trying to make sure that I spend the appropriate amount of time doing the right things. So, thank you for joining me this evening. I actually have yet to have dinner, so I am going to go. I have a animal in the background. Yeah, that's Esther. Esther, come here. This is actually the thing that keeps the rabbits out of the garden. Come here. Come here. Come here, Esther. Yeah, she was our puppy. Now she's all big. Come here. Come here. Hi. You want to say hi? Here, we'll do this. Let's see. Oh, I'm going to knock the camera down. Come here. Hey. Come here. Come here. Come say goodbye to the lovely people. Come here. Come. There you are. There's my big girl. There's my big girl. Yes, you keep the rabbits out. It's not the hand grenades. It's the Esther. She's done a wonderful job. She's a very good dog. But keep growing as you grow. Thank you, my friends. I appreciate you being here. I hope you have a great week, and may God bless you and keep you. We'll see you next time. Bye.